When I think back to that night, I still feel the heat in my chest, like someone pressed a hot iron right against my heart and left the mark there permanently. It wasn't just about the dress. People always think it's about the dress, but it wasn't. It was about control, respect, and realizing that the man I had built so much of my life around didn't actually want me as I was. He wanted a version of me he could mold, polish, and parade around when it suited him. Daniel and I had been together for almost 3 years. On the surface, he was a catch. Tall, handsome in that clean-cut, corporate kind of way. The kind of man who always had his shirt pressed, his shoes polished, and his calendar organized. He worked for a consulting firm that practically lived for networking and impressions, as he called them. His career was everything to him, and while I admired his ambition, I never realized just how much he valued appearances. Until it was too late. Every year, his company held a big event. It wasn't just some small office party. It was the event. Fancy ballroom, chandeliers, free-flowing champagne, speeches from executives. It was where reputations were built, where employees paraded their partners, and where promotions quietly took root in whispered conversations. For Daniel, this night was a milestone. He had been working toward a senior position, and this event was his chance to shine in front of the right people. I wanted to look perfect for him. Not just perfect. Stunning. The kind of stunning that would make people's heads turn when we walked in. So, I spent days shopping, trying on dresses until I found the one. A black satin dress, elegant but daring. The neckline dipped lower than I usually wore, and the fit was snug, accentuating my curves in a way that made me feel bold and confident. When I looked in the mirror, I felt powerful. I wanted him to look at me and feel proud, like he was walking in with the woman everyone else wished they had. The night of the event, I spent hours getting ready. My hair curled just right, makeup flawless, heels that made my legs look longer. I stepped out of the bedroom where Daniel was adjusting his tie in the hallway mirror. The moment he turned and saw me, I expected him to smile, to say, "Wow, you look incredible." Instead, his face hardened. His eyes traveled from my neckline to my hem, and the silence stretched. Finally, he spoke. "You can't wear that." I froze, my smile faltering. "What do you mean?" His jaw tightened. "That dress. It's too much. 2SL*T2I. This is a professional event. I can't have you showing up like that." The word SL*T2I felt like it exploded in the room. My own boyfriend, the man who was supposed to adore me, had just reduced me to that. I laughed nervously, hoping he was kidding. "Daniel, it's a dress. I look good in it, and I wanted to look good for you." But he shook his head. "No. You'll make me look bad. People will think I can't control my girlfriend." That word, control, burned into my brain. I argued back. "I'm not your employee, Daniel. I'm your partner. You don't get to tell me what I can and can't wear." His expression didn't soften. He simply picked up his jacket and said, "If you're going to wear that, then you can stay home. I'll go without you." For a moment, I thought he was bluffing. I thought if I stood my ground, he'd sigh, apologize, and we'd go together. But when he grabbed his keys and headed for the door, I realized he wasn't bluffing at all.
Fine, he snapped.
"Go alone." And he did. He walked out, leaving me standing there in my satin dress, heart pounding with rage and humiliation. That night, I stayed home, pacing the apartment, drinking too much wine, staring at myself in the mirror. The dress that had made me feel powerful now just made me feel foolish. I replayed our fight 100 times, wondering if I'd overreacted. Maybe the neckline was too low. Maybe I should have compromised. Maybe if I'd worn something safer, he would have smiled and taken me with him. But then I remembered his words. SL*T2I control, and the anger returned like a wave. The next morning, my phone buzzed with notifications. Social media posts from the event. Pictures of Daniel, smiling wide, looking sharp in his suit. But he wasn't alone. Standing next to him was a woman in a red gown, her hand lightly resting on his arm. The caption from one of his colleagues read, "Great night with Daniel and his lovely guest." I stared at the screen in disbelief. He hadn't just gone without me. He had taken someone else. When he walked through the door later that day, I was shaking. "Who was she?" I demanded. He didn't even flinch. "A coworker," he said casually. "She needed a +1. It made sense. It made sense," I repeated, my voice rising. You ditched me because you didn't like my dress, then you replaced me with someone else? He shrugged, like it was nothing. At least she knew how to dress appropriately. Something inside me snapped. It wasn't just the dress. It wasn't just the woman. It was the fact that he thought so little of me that he could discard me in an instant, swap me out like an accessory that didn't match his outfit. We argued for hours. I told him he humiliated me, made me feel invisible. He told me I was dramatic, overreacting, that appearances mattered in his world, and I should have understood that. He said, "If you can't understand how important this is to me, maybe you're not the right person to stand next to me." That was the nail in the coffin. We broke up a week later. There was no screaming breakup scene, no dramatic exit. Just quiet words, a few tears, and the cold realization that we were done. He packed his things, and I watched the man I thought I'd build a future with walk out the door without looking back. For weeks afterward, I tortured myself. I replayed everything in my head. Should I have worn a different dress? Should I have swallowed my pride, compromised, and gone along with what he wanted? Maybe then we'd still be together. Maybe then he wouldn't have felt the need to parade someone else around. But then I realized something. It was never about the dress. It was never about that one night. It was about control. About him needing to dictate how I looked, how I acted, how I fit into his carefully constructed world. Months later, I saw another post online. Daniel at another event, this time smiling with the same coworker in the red gown. Maybe they were dating now. Maybe she was the new woman he wanted to show off. I didn't know, and I didn't care anymore. Because what I finally understood was this: the right man doesn't police your clothes. The right man doesn't humiliate you in front of his colleagues. The right man doesn't discard you when you don't fit his image. The right man wants you to shine, even if it means you're the brightest star in the room. I lost Daniel that night, yes. But maybe I didn't really lose anything at all. Because in the end, I walked away with something more valuable than him. I walked away with myself. And no one is ever going to take that from me again.